Google Fonts API provides us with hundreds of open source fonts we can use on our website. You can search for specific fonts, and you can even filter them, and once you find the ones you want to use, just press add to collection, and now you can review those you chose, and if you press use, then you get 3 ways for using them in your code. The standard way is just about adding a link for a small CSS file auto-generated for you by Google Server. As you can see, the type is text/CSS, and once you include this line, then you can easily use those fonts in your CSS file, as in this code sample. So let's give it a try. So I want to copy paste this line, and let's change this code so that we have a link for Google servers with this specific query string. By the way, if you want to get a better understanding for how it works, you can just copy paste this link and then try to browse it. Just a typo. Copy. Now if you try to browse it, what you get in return is actually the CSS code. This link element is responsible for using in our web page. Here we can put a bit of CSS of our own. So for instance, I can specify the font family I want to use. Let's say Magra, one of the two we chose, Magra. And having a CSS like this one means that over here we shall get the text "We love programming" using the Magra font in a size of 52 pixels. So let's give it a try. If we try to browse this web page, this is the output. We love programming because we specified Magra font to be used as the default one for the body element. We could, of course, in this case, specify the other font we chose, which is a Titan 1, and get to see a different look and feel. Another way for using the Web Font API, or as many people call it, Google Fonts API, is to include in our code an import, strudel import for this specific link. We can add this line into the CSS we use. So getting back to our code sample, let's take this away and add the import URL statement that actually adds into our internal CSS the CSS we get when trying to browse this specific URL address. So basically the output would be the same. So let's just give it a try and see the output. The third way for using Google Fonts is by adding some code in JavaScript, this specific code. So let's give it a try. I take this code and add it over here within the add element, and of course take out this line. And going over the code, we can find in the beginning that web font config is actually a variable that holds a reference for a new object with the property Google, that its value is another object with the property families, that its value is an array that lists the fonts we want to use. Over here you can find an anonymous function that is immediately invoked, meaning that this code is actually running, just that it has its own scope, doesn't interfere with the global scope, doesn't interfere with properties, other properties the global object, the window global object has. And what you can find here is code responsible for creating a new script element configured with this specific src attribute that holds a URL address for getting code in JavaScript, code which is actually Google Web Fonts JavaScript library. Here a new attribute, its name is type, is added to the script element. The attribute async assigned with true is also added to the script element, and over here we actually get the new script element added to the web page, and when that happens, this code is immediately executed, so that we can actually use here the fonts Titan1 and Megra. So let's take a look and see how does it work now. As you can see, this is just another way for using Google Fonts.